All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the news desk here. This is a special edition for Monday. We're bringing you the first review I've seen anywhere, actually, of the new Justice League series from DC Comics. Now, I was going to talk about this on Wednesday. I'm planning to do a spoilerific episode of the news desk talking about Flashpoint and talking about Justice League, but as it turns out, a little birdie dropped a copy of Justice League #1 in my lap today, so I'm going to try to do a spoiler-free review here today. Mainly because I know some of you have really been looking forward to this series and you don't want it ruined, but also because I'm not really sure if there's an embargo about talking about this issue before it hits stands on Wednesday. DC really didn't make that clear. So I am going to talk a little bit about the book right now and try not to give too many things away, but here are some of the things I can tell you. One, this is obviously an origin story. This story was put together to talk about how all of these heroes came together to fight a common threat. And that threat is, of course, Darkseid and Apocalypse. Now, I'm not going to get into a whole lot of details about how this happens, but I can say that this issue is mainly focused on Batman and Green Lantern coming together and setting off on this quest, or this mission, if you will, and how they meet the other characters along the way. There is no Aquaman in this book, there's no Flash in this book, there's no Wonder Woman in this book. We do see a little bit of Superman, a little bit of Cyborg, and mostly Batman and Green Lantern. Now, from what I've seen of these characters so far, I can say that Green Lantern more or less looks the same, just kind of a younger version, a little newer to the core, apparently. And Batman is the same for all intent and purposes. It really didn't get into a whole lot of Bruce Wayne or his life, outside of the bat suit. But as far as the suit itself, his abilities and powers, he cannot fly, he cannot dodge bullets, he cannot do anything special he couldn't do before. He's just a regular guy in a suit with just very good training. So that was kind of nice to see that Batman's the same. And Green Lantern more or less is the same, builds constructs out of the energy coming from his ring. So that was nice to see as well. Beyond that, I'm not really sure what I can divulge. Again, it's an origin story, so these characters are new to each other, and for the most part, they know about each other just from news reports and whatever, but they've really not had any interaction previous to this story. So as they are meeting each other and learning about each other, so are you, which makes it really good as an introduction type of story. The artwork from Jim Lee is basically anything that you'd expect. It doesn't really look any different from anything else he's done. I guess if there's one thing I would say where the book has a little bit of a different feel is in the coloring. In the Flashpoint universe, things were very dark and twisted compared to the regular DC universe, and so the world had a grittier, darker look to it. And I have to say that this one is colored a little darker as well. However, I would not say that this is in any way a darker tone like you would expect if I were to tell you this is a Punisher Max title or something along those lines. This is not a dark and gritty book, but it just has a little bit darker of a feel to it overall, maybe because it's fully embracing the color, computerized coloring technology, as opposed to old books that tried to stick more to that look of having the traditional watercolor coloring to it. So it does have a little bit of darker look. It is an introduction story. It's an origin story. Again, no Aquaman, no Wonder Woman, no Flash in this one. Just pretty much Batman, Green Lantern, most of the way, a little bit of Cyborg, a little bit of Superman. So that's what you're looking at with Justice League #1. Now the question is it any good? Is it worth reading? Well, I have to say that on the one hand, I found it very intriguing. I've enjoyed Flashpoint for the most part. I enjoy kind of these fractured timelines and alternate universes. For this taking over the regular DC universe, it remains to be seen how many changes there really are, but this does feel very well done. To me, this has the same feel as some of the animated projects coming out of Warner Brothers from the last couple years. We've seen over the years they've reintroduced Batman, they've reintroduced Green Lantern, Superman, doing these animated features that were more modern, a little more, I don't want to say realistic necessarily, but a little more, set in the real world, so to speak. And this has that same feel. It's very true to the characters, but it does feel like a modern launch. So it is overall very nice. And the characters don't feel out of place. These do feel like your regular Batman and Green Lantern. They're just meeting again for the first time. So overall, I have to say, I really enjoyed it. This is probably going to be worth your buck, and or $4, whatever it happens to be. And for those of you also wondering about the digital download, the digital download code that comes with the copy of Justice League is going to sport a different cover in that combo pack. Your regular copy of Justice League is going to have that artwork of all the heroes bursting out that you've seen on an orange background. Those of you getting the combo pack are going to have a blue background, and it will say combo pack on the cover. So therefore, you will have a different cover, and those of you completists who'd like to have all the variants, there you go. You're going to have to buy 2 copies to get both of those covers. So I guess that's all I'm really going to be able to say today, but like I said, we'll be back on Wednesday with a bunch of spoilers talking about Flashpoint and Justice League #1. So hope to see you guys then. Until next time.
Dirt, call me!